Since we first developed NanoSlic, our hydrophobic and oleophobic coating, I have been asked a number of times, how effective can NanoSlic be in protecting a car, truck, a motorhome from bugs? How much easier to clean could the surface be? What would happen if bugs remained on the NanoSlic surface for many days? Would it still help? Could NanoSlic be marketed as an exterior protective coating? With those questions in mind, the 2014 NanoSlic Bug Tour was born. While there are many types of bugs that may get splattered on a vehicle, we heard that none is more troublesome than the love bug. We wanted to know more, so we talked to Dr. Norman Lepler, an entomologist and a love bug expert at the University of Florida in Gainesville.
Love bugs are along the Gulf Coast states. They came to Florida just after World War II, we think pretty much by themselves, from Yucatan. And they radiated across to Florida. The love bugs are attracted to exhaust from engines like lawnmowers and automobiles. The concern basically is that we will have damage to paint on vehicles. So what causes the problem is leaving those on the car until the sun and the heat and perhaps microorganisms cause them to be damaging. So the trick is to get them off of your car as soon as possible.
So we designed an experiment. We would apply a NanoSlic over automotive paint and drive across Florida during the height of the love bug season. We worked with an expert at an automotive paint store to select a high-quality primer base coat clear coat system typical of today's auto paint. We then applied it to aluminum test panels. Some panels received a clear coat and some did not, so we could see what would happen to the paint on older vehicles. We then masked one side of the panels and coated the NanoSlic on the other side. After we taped off our panels, we coated them with NanoSlic using an airbrush. We measured the contact angle of the NanoSlic and non-NanoSlic panels. We mounted the panels on foam backing so they would not damage our test vehicle. We then worked with an experienced manager at Enterprise. He helped us find the right vehicle so we could properly mount the test panels. We then mounted the panels in such a way that they could be easily removed during the tour. Well, we're about to start our 2014 NanoSlic Bug Tour. We're leaving from the Innovation Center and heading for South Florida to see how our experiment works out. As you can see, we've mounted our test panels here to the front of the vehicle. Some are half NanoSlic, half automotive paint. One is completely covered in NanoSlic, and then we have controls with just automotive paint. And we'll be recording how the panels with NanoSlic perform versus the controls as we head to Florida. We learned that love bugs are found mostly inland, so we drove a route from east to west and back over several days. After we drove through an area where the bugs were swarming, we stopped and removed the panels and exchanged them with new ones. The panels that were covered with bugs were placed in the sun for different periods of time. On our final day, leaving Florida, we drove northwest. Just north of Orlando, we saw the thickest swarming of the tour. The fronts of vehicles everywhere around us were covered. We pulled into a rest stop and saw a special car wash just to remove love bugs. Well, art plates were covered everywhere. So we removed them and exchanged them with new ones. The ones we removed were later placed in the sun for different periods of time. This is panel number 8. had the most love bugs of any panel. We took this off the vehicle northeast of Orlando. It's also sat in the sun, bright sunlight for 4 days. Let's try to wash it with just the garden hose. As you can see, the NanoSlic side is on the right, non-NanoSlic is on the left. Comes off much more easily on the right side. Now let's take our sponge and see if we can get the rest of the remains off. NanoSlic side, you see, it comes right off. The non-NanoSlic side still cannot get everything off, no matter how hard I try. Now we'll rinse it off. As you can see, it's a night and day difference. The NanoSlic side, you can see how it's beating up. Everything comes right off. 4 days in the bright sunlight, and on the left with the non-NanoSlic, and that's what you would see in real life. To get a quantitative measure, we counted the bug remains after spraying with a garden hose and after scrubbing with a sponge. NanoSlic maintained its hydrophobic and oleophobic properties during and after the tour. There was a night and day difference in how well bugs could be removed. When summarized, our data showed a significant improvement whether spraying with a garden hose or scrubbing with a sponge. In both cases, even after 4 days in the sun, the NanoSlic protected panels achieved 100% removal. So what do you think? Does NanoSlic protect painted surfaces? Absolutely. Does NanoSlic make it easier to clean, even when covered with bugs, even love bugs that have been left in the sun for many days? Yes, we saw a tremendous improvement. Could NanoSlic be marketed as a protective coating for vehicles and other painted surfaces? We're convinced, but there's a lot more work to do.